Okay guys, so what we're looking at here is the last couple of problems on the class sheet from today, and we're going to finish them up today via video so that you can be prepared to try your homework. So remember back to long division when you were to take something called the dividend and divide it by the divisor. This is 5 in this case, and you used to kind of set something up like 965. You used to put it in this little box, put the divisor outside like 5, and then you would do this step, these process called long division to go ahead and come up with your answer. So you would say, okay, well, how many times does 5 go into 9? And so 5 goes into 9 one time. So now we take the number on top, 1, we'd multiply it by 5, and 1 times 5 is 5, and then we would subtract our answer, and as a result, we would get 4. Now we would bring down the 6 that was already there. And now we would say, all right, well, how many times does 5 goes into 46? And it goes in there 9 times. So 5 goes in 9 times. Then we take the 9 up top and multiply by the 5, and you would get 45. And once again, we would subtract. And 46 minus 45 is 1. So then we'd bring down the last 5 all the way over here, and we would say, all right, 5 goes into 15 3 times. And if I multiply 3 times 5, that comes out would be 15. And now I go ahead and subtract that, and I would get 0. So I would say the answer is 193 because my remainder, which is right down here, my remainder is actually 0. Well, we can go ahead and we can do this, and sometimes they don't actually come out to be nice and even. So if I go ahead and start 277 divided by 12, 277 divided by 12, we would say, okay, well, how many times does 12 go into 2? Well, it doesn't. So how many times does 12 go into 27? It goes in there twice. And so I'm going to take 2 and multiply by 12, and I'm going to get 24. And then if I subtract that, that gives me 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply, bring down the 7, I apologize, bring that down. So now I've got 37 down here. How many times does 12 go into 37? Well, it goes in there 3 times, and 3 times 12 is 36. And we're still going to subtract that, and 37 minus 36 is 1. So we would say in this case, there's no further we can go. There's nothing else to bring down. I mean, technically, we could go ahead and we could start with decimals. But one way to write this is to say that the answer is 23 remainder 1. Okay? Now that remainder is really important because we're going to use that now with polynomials. So with polynomials, the process is exactly the same. It doesn't change. We're still going to set it up exactly the same way. Really, if you understand that technique, we're going to use that technique over and over again. So we've got 2x squared plus 7x, excuse me for writing here with the mouse, plus 7. And that is the dividend. And the divisor is x plus 2. Okay, so here's what we do. We are always going to focus on just the x. And that's the number that we're going to see how many times it goes into these numbers. Okay, the 2 is irrelevant. We will handle the 2 when we need to, but right now we just focus on the x. So the first thing you say is how many times does x go into 2x squared? Another way to ask yourself that question is to say, what can I multiply x by so that it becomes 2x squared? And hopefully you know that x times 2x will give you 2x squared. So 2x is the answer to both of those questions. X goes into 2x squared 2x times, or you can say x times 2x is 2x squared. So that means we're going to put 2x up here because x times 2x gives us this. We're now going to take this 2x and multiply it. We already know the answer to that one, 2x squared. But we also, now here's where the 2 is important, we have to multiply it by 2 as well. 2 times 2x is 4x. So this is plus 4x. We are going to take this entire thing away from our dividend here. So we're going to say 2x squared minus 2x squared. Those are going to cancel. And 7x minus 4x is 3x. Okay. I'm going to bring down the 7 immediately. I know we didn't do that for the numbers, but it really helps, in my opinion, with the variables to bring it down so we don't forget about anything. And now we're going to repeat the process, and we're going to take this x right here, and we're going to say, all right, how many times does x go into 3x? So, or basically the same question, what can I multiply x by so that I get 3x as my answer? And hopefully you know that x times 3 would give me 3x. So that's the number, positive 3, that I'm going to put up top. Now x times 3 gives me 3x, just like I did before. And don't forget we have to multiply 3 times 2, which is plus 6. This entire thing is going to be subtracted, just like with the long division with numbers. 3x minus 3x will go away. That should always happen. And 7 minus 6 is 1. Now, x cannot multiply by really anything that's useful to go into turn itself into 1. So this is when we stop. We stop when we just get to numbers down here, okay? But we would say that the answer would be, let me come right back up here to the original question, it would be 2x plus 3. And my remainder, this is my remainder down here, my remainder is 1. My 1, so I'm going to say plus, 1 goes on top of my divisor, which is x plus 2. And that is going to be my answer. All right, that was the questions we didn't do in class. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the first problem from your homework, problem number 11. So if you want to take out your homework sheet and try number 11, I'm going to set this up and go through it the exact same way. So I'm going to take my dividend, my n squared plus 8n plus 14. That's there. And I'm going to divide it by n plus 7. Okay, so first question, I'm going to always look at this n, and then I'm going to compare it to these things. So what do I multiply? N times something will give me n squared. And hopefully you guys know that the answer to that is n times n will give you n squared. So now I take n, and I say n times n is n squared, and n times 7 is positive 7n. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this, I'm going to subtract it. N squared minus n squared goes away. 8n minus 7n is 1n. All right, so the next question says, what can I take my n by and multiply it by so it becomes 1n? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. I forgot my plus 14. Let me bring that down. So n times something gives me n, 1n. So hopefully you know the answer is 1, n times 1, so positive 1. Now I'm going to take 1, n times 1 is 1n, sorry, 1 times 7 is 7. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract. 1n minus 1n goes away, and 14 minus 7 is 7. Like I said, when you get to just numbers at the bottom, you are done. If that number is not 0, then you have a remainder. So my answer to my question is everything that's on top, which is n plus 1, and I have a plus my remainder, which is 7 over n plus 7. And that's my answer. All right, guys, I want you to try out the rest of the problems. And all of the problems have just a variable up front for the divisor. They don't have 5n or 6n, and that's on purpose. So right now, hopefully it should be pretty straightforward for you, and we will finish talking about this on Friday.